Well, good morning and welcome once again to Virtual Chapel. The Lord be with you. Last Wednesday, we talked a little bit about what it meant to be kind and considerate to one another in the parable of the Good Samaritan. And we examined that question asked many, many years ago to Jesus: who is my neighbour? If we're supposed to be loving our neighbour, if we're supposed to be nice to those around us, who exactly are we talking about here? And if you remember, Jesus told the parable of the Good Samaritan to show that anybody that we show kindness and love to can be our neighbour. Go and do likewise, he says. Go and be neighbours to those around you in the world. Last Friday in chapel, as we admitted the monitors, some of you I know could hear what I was saying in the sermon, and some of you couldn't hear it remotely. I asked you the question: if we lived in a different world where being a true Dunelmian, a true member of Durham School, was made illegal, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Is there enough evidence to show that we really do have the Durham mark in our lives? Evidence to show that we are trying to live sincerely with moral integrity, ambition, responsibility, and kindness. And I want to talk a little bit this morning about how we might live out some of those values of responsibility and kindness in our world, in our school community, but also in the much wider world. Those of you who've seen me over the last few days would have seen me hobbling around the school site. Last Sunday, I ran the virtual Great North Run, a half marathon, to try and raise some money for the Zambezi Sunrise Trust, a charity that our school has been supporting for some time. This charity, as many of you will know, works with a school, a Linda Community School in Zambia, which it's been building and resourcing to try and bring the privilege of education to lives much less fortunate than our own. And as you will know, over the past few months with the pandemic, lots of people have been struggling in lots of different ways. Lots of people have lost their jobs, and this has affected charities tremendously. Also, as we're worried about passing around cash and the fear of passing the coronavirus through the things that we touch, so people have been giving less and less money to charity. If we want to live out our values of responsibility and kindness, thinking about how we can give to charity now is a really important thing. And so I felt inspired to face some of my fears and go and run a half marathon last Sunday. Now, as many of you will know, the Great North Run is normally run from Newcastle all the way across to South Shields. And there's lots and lots of people there, thousands of people running. It's a wonderful atmosphere, and if you've never done it, I encourage you to give it a go someday. But this year, because we can't have the crowds, we all had to download apps to our mobile phones, log on, plug in our headphones, and they tracked us all as we ran our half marathon or whatever routes we chose. And I'm really pleased to say that I managed to raise £377 for this charity. Thank you so much for those of you who have sponsored me and supported me in that. A few days later, I am still aching and a bit sore and stiff. I still have blisters on my toes, but it was totally worth it. My question for you this morning is: how can you live out those values of responsibility and kindness in supporting charities that you are passionate about? Over the last few years, the school has had a charity committee made up of myself and representatives from all the houses, and we've decided together which charities we support and where we're going to give the money that we have collected in chapel services. This year, because we're not having physical chapel services, we can't collect the cash in the way that we normally do. I want you to be creative. I want you to think about the charities that you are passionate about. And I want each house to try and come up with ideas and choose a charity that you are going to support this term. Now, in each house, there are various monitors, and one of those monitors is responsible for charities. It's the responsibility of the senior housemaster and housemistress and that monitor to choose that charity that you are going to support. But I want everybody to come up with ideas and creative solutions of how we can raise money. Once you have chosen the charity that you're going to support as a house, I want everybody to come up with really inventive and creative ways to raise money in a COVID-safe way this term for that charity. And it's going to be interesting having a little bit of competition between the houses to see who can raise the most money and come up with the most creative ideas for raising money. If you like running, there's the Kilda 10k run and half marathon and marathon coming up at the beginning of October. If you don't know running, that's totally fine. Plenty of other ways for us to raise money for charity. Jesus tells us to love our neighbours as ourselves. Our school values tell us to act with moral integrity, ambition, responsibility, and kindness. How can we live that out today, here and now? What charities do you want to support? What creative solutions can you come up with to raise money for them? This is the challenge for you today.